Welcome to another video on basic concepts in web design. This lesson is about the concepts of block and inline. You'll be hearing about these a lot in this class. Here are the basic ideas. A block element will create a rectangle, basically a rectangle shape that can contain other things. These rectangles create line breaks above and below themselves. Therefore, if you insert a block element in the middle of a line, it will break up that line, and then it will exist between the two parts. This is called a block element. Once again, it's a rectangle that will create a line break above and below itself. So it will take up one line all on its own. Examples of block elements are headings, for example, titles or subtitles, paragraphs, block quotes, which are quoted texts, or lists, such as ordered or unordered lists, like numbered lists or bullet lists. Next, we have inline elements. Inline elements are different in that they stay in the middle of a line. They do not break up the line. Instead, these elements either add to the line or they change its style. So if you were to create an inline element, it would either go in the middle of a line or it would change the style of the line, but it will not break it up. Examples of inline elements would be when you're making text bold or italic, when you're creating a link, or when you're putting an image somewhere in your page. Images are also inline elements. Now, using a feature called display, you can change elements between block and inline. You can take an inline element and change it into a block, or you can take a block element and change it into an inline. So let's go into a browser and look at what this means in terms of an actual web page. All right, here we have a web page, and I'm in the editor on the right side, and I'm using a browser, in this case Firefox, on the left side. You can see that I have a web page, and mostly in the body what we have is just some text. It appears as a line on the page. This text appears in the browser like this. So let's insert a block element and then an inline element into this line and see what happens. Let's begin with a block element. I'm going to put in a block quote. So here we have a block quote, and inside I'll put BQ just to say this is a block quote. And this is in the middle of the line of text. Now, as I pointed out before, a block element should divide the line into two parts, above and below, and create a rectangle below. And if we save this and then go into the browser and refresh, here you see exactly that. The block quote was created between those two parts of text, creating a break after the beginning of the block quote and another break after the end of the block quote. So that's what a block element will do. Now let's change this, and instead let's create an inline element. So I'm going to choose one called span, and I'm just going to type span here and close it. Here's the end of the span. I'm going to just create the span so that it surrounds one sentence in the text. Once again, you can see that I have put this element in the middle of this line, but this time, if we take a look at what happens, you'll see that actually it does not break up the line. It will change the style of the line, or at least the part that it covers, but it does not break up the line. It simply changes the style. Now I'm going to take out the span and return it to the original style. Here we go. And let me save this and show you what it looks like. So here is the original line. All right. This time I'm going to do something different. I'm going to add an image. So I'm going to use the image tag, and I'm going to say we're going to use an image I set up called dog.jpg. So there's my image. You'll notice that the image is in the middle of the line. Now images, you might think that they're blocks because they're shaped like rectangles usually. However, in this case, you'll see that the image, when I refresh the page, it does not break up the line. Instead, it simply gets inserted in the line. So images are also inline elements. So that's the difference between block and inline. A block will end the line, create a new line, and be a rectangle between the top and the bottom, whereas an inline element will either change the style of something in the line or it will simply add to the line. Now, as I mentioned before, you can change an inline element to a block or a block element to an inline. So let's do it here. I'm going to add a style, and don't worry if you don't understand what I'm doing here. And I'm going to say display as block. So I just added this style to the image, and basically I said now the image is a block element. So if I save that, and then we go back to this page and refresh, the image will act like a block. And here you can see it does exactly that. It breaks the line where it begins, and it breaks again where it ends. So there are lines above and below, and this image now acts as a block element. Using display, you can also make a block element into an inline one. So these are concepts that you'll see more and more throughout the semester. If you don't understand fully right now, that's okay. I just want you to be introduced to the basic ideas of block and inline.